Hello. I don't actually know if this thing is on, if it's streaming, if anybody's actually able to view this. That's an excellent question that I don't have an answer to. Um, I'm just trying this live stream thing to see if it works. This is me not being a brilliant man here. If you're actually watching this, could you like chat or something? There should be a type something in. That way I can tell that I'm not just talking to myself. I'm okay talking to myself, but in general it's not something I aim for. I don't know what this little thing is. Oh wow, there we go. Butt stream. Hey, I'll be damned. I see. Holy cow, there are a lot of people talking here. This is insane. Do I really have 55 viewers already? Holy crap. Okay. Hi everybody. Hi Peppa. Hi So Fat. Nice to see you all. I'm famous. Yeah, I know, right? This is weird. So it's 100% working. Is my voice coming through okay? I'll be damned. Huh. I'm an awesome guy. Hey, thank you very much. You got an email notice. Holy crap. Sorry to spam everybody here. I'm really just playing with this. Stop practicing law to watch this. Law is going to get you a lot further, I will say, than watching some jackass on the YouTube. So, wonderful. Hey, while I'm here, let's go ahead and make this a live Ask the Nick sort of question. Because, I've done this a couple of times on the Instagram, but, yeah, there we go. Wow, so, hey, this is working. Go figure, right? I've got a good portion of my collection right here in front of me if you got questions about that. Z Hunter Talk. Okay, here you go. Oh, wow. I was squeezing a little too hard and it didn't even lock that time. Yeah, I'm trying the live stream thing. Go figure, right? Pocket Pekka. Yeah, so the Pocket Pekka thing, that one came about, I think, in the Alambic 247 review, and that really was off the cuff. Like I said it, and it was just like, oh my God, what am I thinking? But it stuck around. That scares me a great deal. So, yeah, that's a thing. The Rask, and by the way, I see a lot of stuff streaming by here. So if I don't answer your question after, a little while here, feel free to re-ask. I'll try it again. Grimsmo Rask, the Rask referring to the little brother of this guy here. The Rask is, I just actually talked to John Grimsmo last night about it. He's hoping 2 to 3 months. He's got ambitious goals. Practically speaking, I'm thinking probably 4 or 5, just because I know how these things go. It's been a little while, but I'm really excited about it. Everything I keep hearing is pretty incredible, honestly. So I'm really looking forward to that. Somebody asked, is the Rask overpriced? That's a great question. I don't know yet because I haven't handled one. What I'll say is that if the action is anywhere near as good as it is on the Norseman, I really don't think so. I mean, you're looking at $600. That's about the same as your Shirogorov Neon. That's, a little bit more than some of your higher-end Sebenzas. And if he's doing the same sort of perfection work, this impresses me really a great deal. I don't see it as being overpriced. But, yeah. Let's see, that's one knife I just can't understand. The Norseman I'm assuming you're talking about. I'll be honest here, I felt the same way at the beginning, because it is a weird knife, 100%. And I'm a fan of weird knives. I got the Razel sitting right in front of me here, and it's absolutely insane. But the Norseman, I think the first time I saw one of these on Reddit, I asked the guy point blank, what the heck are you doing with that blade? I mean, it's a weird, but the thing is, it's grown on me. Watching John Grimsmo's YouTube channel was the gateway for this guy, because I saw how much of a damn he gave. It was a really incredible process that he was doing, and then when I actually finally picked one up and pulled the trigger, it was just like a revelation. It's an incredible knife, and this action is it's second to none. And so that's pretty incredible right there. Does the Pocket Pekka reference birds or the more fun kind of Pekka? No, that's a bird reference. I am actually a bird watcher. I don't do it as much lately. And so I was quite literally, I always picture a woodpecker or some variety just kind of going, tick, 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 tick. And so, that's the Pocket Pekka reference. And in fact, I think I referred to one knife or another as having a pocket kookaburra because it's got a much thicker bill. So yeah, that's kind of where I went with it. It turned out to be a great deal dirtier, but the thing is, unfortunately, and I've mentioned this before, I have this problem where if I talk long enough, I'm going to say something that's deeply dirty, and that's just no good. So, yeah. Happens in classrooms, too. If I'm ever teaching or in a meeting, for instance, I will say something and then 2 seconds later my brain will go, Nick, what the heck did you just say? And it's a problem. Bonjour, Jean-Baptiste. I wish that I spoke better French. Adam Green asks, Nick, when did you start seriously getting into knives? That's a great question, Adam. I was... So I've carried like the Leatherman Squirt P4. I carried for many, many years. In high school, I grew up in an area where everyone was afraid of knives, so they were banned. I owned knives. My very first knife was a Victorinox Adventurer. Well, it was a little Cub Scout sort of affair, but a Victorinox Adventurer that I owned for many years from when I like middle school or so. But I never really got a chance to carry a knife in high school because it was illegal as all heck. And then in college, I carried the Squirt P4 a great deal. And then I ended up picking up, I did some reading, some research. I picked up a Benchmade 940 to start with. And then I realized that my college law was under 3.5. It had to be under 3 inches, so I moved to an Emissary, their assisted model, which is a great knife, but not so ideal in a lot of ways. And so that's what I moved to there. And then I picked up a 940 later on, and once I had the Benchmades, it was just freaking over. That's one thing that a lot of people don't realize about me is that I give Benchmade a lot of crap, and they deserve a lot of crap right now. Absolutely 100%. But they were my first love in the knife world. So that's that I really hope they come back, because the 940 back when I bought mine when it was $125, and for that price, that's a great knife. But unfortunately, they've just gone astray, and I hope they come back one of these days. Let's see here. Sorry, guys, a bunch of questions are flying by. I'm just grabbing out of there. Yep, you're famous, Adam, 100%. And there's Caleb. Hey, Caleb. What's your preferred way of carrying a knife in public? I'm a big pocket clip guy. At any given moment, thank you, Robin, there. At any given moment, I've usually got one clipped into my pocket. On occasion, I will drop it down into my pocket. Just kind of, usually I'll switch pockets on it, or throw it into a jacket pocket, something along those lines, but it's almost always clipped there. By and large, people don't seem to notice it or don't seem to care, and so I'm not super concerned about it. But that is the reason why I'm often very critical about clips that are big and douchey. I'm trying to think, do I have one of them on my table at the moment? I've got a lot of stuff on my table. Well, okay. There's the Medford Marauder, although actually this isn't that big a douchey. Well, the knife is absolutely, but the clip is just fine. So, but like ZT with the big ZT clips, that bugs the crap out of me. So there you go. One of the most poignant videos I've ever watched was the one about your father's EDC, Mitchell Delmar. Thank you, Mitchell. That was a really tough video for me. I'm going to be completely honest with you. That was scary as well. Because YouTube, I'm sure you all are kind, generous, gentle people, but YouTube can be harsh. And I end up having to ban a bunch of people on the channel. And putting something that was fairly personal out there. If nothing else, just the understanding that sometimes a parent doesn't live up to what you need them to be. Or in some cases, a parent can be terrible. That's some raw stuff, and I'm a gear reviewer, so it kind of blew me away when people actually gave a damn about it, and responded positively by and large. That was a nice thing. So I'm very happy about that. What do you think about sending knives out to be modded or pimped? That's a great question, and I'm going to answer it in just a second. And I'm back. Sorry about that. I needed to get something right here. I needed to get these. Not a bathroom break. Needed to get some water to start with. But actually, buddy Nico just sent me 2 knives that he was getting modded or pimped, including this big son of a gun right here. This is the CKF Muscle pocket knife. I want to thank my buddy Nico for sending this guy along. And this has been pretty heavily modded and or pimped. The anodization is a very different color than normal, and well, the acid stonewash and whatnot. And then on the other side, the CKF SSE right here. Another great knife, and this one's been modded in the anodization as well as a sharpening. I have no real problem with modding a Pimpin' Knives. I mean, why would I, right? But the issue that you can get, yeah, murdery, that's a nice way to put it, absolutely terribly murdery, and the muscle is ridiculous. But the issue with modding knives is that very often when you mod a knife, you end up taking something that you don't love and make it a different thing that you don't love. My experience is that by and large, if you have to mod a knife to love it, it wasn't loved to begin with. Hopefully that didn't just close the stream there. I'm assuming that didn't just close the stream. Either way, so if you have to model a knife in order to love it, it's probably not meant to be to start with. Here, I'll move these in the center of the screen there. Like the Ouroboros is a nice example of this. It's a great knife in a lot of ways, but it's not quite great enough, and modifying it was well and good, and it made it even better. But at the end of the day, I had to do some modification, and it's still not perfect. And so I guess I'm a bit of a purist. If it wasn't designed in a way that I like, with a couple of small exceptions, I'm probably not going to like it after I mess around with it. There are some exceptions, of course. This is a modification. This little Sanmai, that's right, Cold Steel, I said it, backspacer, is kind of a beautiful thing on this Graham. It was made by John Graham's son, John Graham Jr., and he's not doing that anymore these days, but nonetheless, it really did make an improvement on the knife. It didn't do anything to it, but it made it a little bit more mine and made it a little bit more fancy. So I really like that very much. So it's a nice little modification, but this guy here is heavily modified and absolutely insane. I can't even begin to express my feelings about this guy. So there you go. 100 plus viewers, a regular Kardashian, says Jonathan Hodges. I'm afraid I do. I guess I can admit this. I do like Kanye West's music a little bit, but I got nowhere near the body to be a Kardashian, so that's life. Let's see here. Cricket Homefront review. That's a great question. That's a knife for which the disassembly video is silly, because the disassembly is so easy. Because it's meant to be that way, but I'd love to check one out and see what kind of compromises they've made, if any, for that quick disassembly thing. So that's a beautiful thing. And so I definitely, and in fact, I've even got an offer on the table from a viewer, but I have so many damn knives on my table right now that it's absurd, from other people, so I can't even do that. The Nick Shabazz likes rap? What? The Nick Shabazz likes everything. I mean, Kanye's got some very good songs. He's also got some very bad songs, but I'm also a big fan of Dre and that whole affair. I mean, heck, I've made Dr. Dre references in my videos, and like 2 people caught him, but still, right there, Dre reference. Moving along. Let's see here. Spit a freestyle for the fans. No, I'm afraid I'm not a rapper. It's not my situation. Let's see here. What else? How old am I? 31? I think. Am I? Someplace in that vicinity. I'm about to be 32, maybe. Someplace in there. Is the Oceanus my favorite watch? The Casio Oceanus I don't have on my table at the moment. It is a spectacular watch, and it is one of my and it is the watch to beat, because it has so much good going for it. It is solar. It is radio controlled. It is durable. It's lightweight. It's got a great bracelet. I mean, this is so damn good. And absolutely, it is a stellar knife. Is it my favorite? I'm not so sure about that. At some level, the only problem I have with the Oceanus is that it has a toy-like appearance. I keep meaning to do a follow-up on this guy. But the Oceanus doesn't really feel like jewelry. It feels like a bit of a toy. And I'm enough of a snob that I have been enjoying wearing. This guy right here is an Omega Seamaster. And, even though it's lacking some features in terms of the movement, it's still an excellent knife. Yes, this is an excellent knife right here. You heard it here first. It's an excellent watch, and I like the fact that it's a little classier in some ways. So, got his mind, knives and knives on his mind. Nice. Have I ever tried to mirror polish any of my blades? Are there any of my blades I haven't tried to mirror polish? Here is a, oh, you mean the entire blade, not the edge. I do mirror edges all the time. I've never tried to mirror polish a blade, just because I don't see the utility in it. It's going to scratch up really well. It makes sense like when Rockstead does it on ZDP. That's absolutely insane. And what they can pull off is incredible, but because they run their ZDP so hot, it's not going to scratch up as much. But if I put a really nice mirror polish on my Sleesh buoy, for instance, it would just be, it would scratch up very easily, and I kind of like the stonewash it's got. By and large, there are no blades I would want to do that to. Let's see here. I use a KME sharpening system these days. I have an Edge Pro, but that's going to be going up for sale on the Patreon here one of these days, because I just haven't been using it as much since I got the KME. KME's a great system. Edge Pro's a great system. Okay, let's see here. Joel Morales, what are your thoughts on analog smartwatches? I'm trying to think of what exactly those, like Fossil's doing. Look, I don't mind an analog face on a smartwatch. Smartwatches themselves are something I've actually really changed my mind around. Because I used to be a smartwatch guy. Wore a Pebble Steel for a while, an Apple Watch. Unfortunately for me, I realized that they were being pretty unhealthy for me. It's kind of a notification hypervigilance. I was always constantly worried about, am I getting a new notification? And there was a time in my life where that was important, where there were things that were going on a regular basis where I needed to be able to react in a heartbeat, and where, bad people traveling who could call me, but I couldn't necessarily call them back, that sort of thing. Made sense then. But afterwards, I've realized that a dumb watch is in many ways much nicer. I don't have to charge it. I don't have to worry about it. It's never going to be disconnected from my phone. And honestly, my phone's never more than 5 or 6 feet away from me anyway, so what's the point? But great question there. Why don't I review serrated knives? I absolutely review serrated knives. Only the Z Hunter, basically. Serrations don't make sense in my life. I don't do a lot of rope cutting. That's where they make sense. And if a steel doesn't keep an edge very long, that's the other place they make sense. I'm not interested in it. So I'd much rather not have a serrated blade. And, every time somebody asks me about it, I respect in many ways the fact that Spyderco offers serrations relatively rarely. Benchmade does serrations everywhere, and, it's always an option, and I don't love that. A lot of people don't want a serration. So there you go. Let's see here. I don't want to be notified about anything but when I go live on YouTube. Well, thank you very much. I don't know how common this is going to be, but there you go. Saw a San Renmu razor knife in one of my videos. I bet you were talking about this little guy. Oh, yeah. Look, this is a silly little knife, 100% absolutely. Just because, well, I mean, look at it. It's not actually a razor in the sense that it is a chisel grind. If you look at an actual razor, a Graham razor blade, one of the interesting things about it is that it is a regular knife grind, even on the top part here. And I don't love chisel grinds. They're okay, but that can be a little bit of a problem. This guy is unique. It's different. It's unfortunately, you can do it tip down or tip up, but it's a weird color scheme, absolutely. And this little wrench thing I'm not only convinced by, but it's interesting. I'm looking forward to actually spending some quality time with it. Unfortunately, though, I own this. This was a gift from my buddy Ovan, and that's, I believe it was. Maybe I'm off there. I'm so sorry if this wasn't. But anyways, I'm looking forward to spending time with it, but the knives that I own are always on the bottom of my list. Cricket Homefront can blindly point out Nick's ugly point. $150 for OS8 blade. Yep, that's gonna be ugly. 100%, 1,000%. I don't know what they're thinking on that one. They're probably thinking cost reduction. Cricket, unfortunately, is a company that tends to really underdo knives. They make knives that are really great, and then they screw up strategic aspects of them. It's always sad. So there you go. But great questions here. I hope you're enjoying this. Ken Johnston, I make most of your buying decisions based on your reviews. That's really flattering to hear. I'm really glad I can be of help to you. I want to advise you, though, that I am just one jackass. I mean, in many ways, the game of finding reviews and reviewers is finding somebody you kind of agree with more often than not. I occasionally agree with myself, but, there are a lot of reviewers out there, and some of which I find to be really compelling and helpful, some I don't at all. And so you may find that, for instance, you have a much higher tolerance for big murdery knives, like, for instance, your ZTO 452 or this little guy right here that I can't even hold without laughing. So, nonetheless, I appreciate that, but you use caution. I got my biases, too. You'd like to see a Gavco review, Mark Collier. Well, boy, do I have a little something for you right here. This is on my table thanks to my buddy Francisco. It's a Gavco Ferrum Forge Mako collaboration, the Furco, if you will. And it's an interesting little knife. I'm going to have a full review of it. I just did the disassembly yesterday, actually, and I haven't posted anything yet. But you'll be seeing this guy reviewed. I'll say that by and large, Gavco's designs, just at a very personal level, don't appeal to me. For whatever reason, a lot of his designs look very lizardy and angry, and that's not something I'm after in my own private life. So I've never seen a Gavco that I was like, oh my god, I want that right now. But I would love to check out one of his customs or mid-decks. So there you go. Did I see Birdshot IV's video about my reviews, says Jacob Douse. Yes, absolutely. And actually, I talk to the Birdshot IV people on a regular basis. Bird and I just text back and forth. He's a great guy. Frankie's a great gal. It's a good collaboration there. And, we make fun of each other on a regular basis because I take myself too seriously. They don't take themselves seriously enough. It kind of works out nicely, right? So, yes, I've absolutely seen them. I'm still bitter that they called my Sleesh Bowie boring. Come on now. Let's see here. This is awesome. Thanks for doing this, Nick. You're welcome, Brian Freeman. Adam Green, who are some of your favorite knife reviewers on YouTube? Let's see here. That's a good question. So, I'm a big fan of, Birdshot IV. I just mentioned this. They're not doing hard reviews in the same sense that I am, but they do definitely get into it, and they've got very strong opinions, and I appreciate that very much, and I tend to respect their views. It is very interesting for me to see, for instance, what Frankie and Bird have to say about a knife of mine, or a knife that I've reviewed, just because, that's a nice little thing. Let's see here. Who else do I like? So Apostle P and I tend to agree on a lot of things knife-related. We are very different humans, and that's okay. But by and large, his opinions on knives I respect very strongly. He's got a lot of good ideas. He's been on a tear about the Spyderco Advocate, and with good reason. He's really doing a great job highlighting some ugly there. I wish it weren't there, but, he's got a couple of videos about that, and is really covering that issue nicely and holding Spyderco to the fire. And it's nice to, see somebody doing that there. Let's see here. Who else? Jim Skelton is, I don't know that I consider Jim to be a reviewer, so much as somebody who showcases knives. And in that way, he can be pretty entertaining. Jim gets really high-quality knives, and some low-quality knives, too, for that matter, but he gets some great knives and some high-end stuff, and does a good job of pointing out the good and the great about them. He doesn't get into the bad and the ugly at all, and that's unfortunate. Well, that's something I very much miss looking at his reviews. I don't feel like I've got the full story, but at the same time, I can sympathize with him, because if he tears a custom knife apart, he's never going to hear from that maker again. And he's very friendly with these people, so I don't know. I don't know that he's a reviewer, but I do appreciate his content, even though I disagree with his style in some cases. Let's see here. Best steel for a Spyderco Rhodey, says Kevin Zaleski. The Spyderco Rhodey I don't have on my table at the moment, but it's a great tiny little knife. If I could dream, a little dream, I think I'd want an M4 Rhodey. Sounds like fun to me. Nothing Fancy is a reviewer who I respect, but I just don't see eye to eye on. He's very much outdoorsy and tactical, and I'm very much indoorsy and practical. And so, I can certainly, I've watched his reviews, but he is just fundamentally not the kind of reviewer that makes sense to me. His reviews are very good for him and for people who see the world in the same way that he does, but that they don't make a lot of sense to me. That's not a knock on him. That's just saying there's a different personality there. And so I don't very often, if I'm making a buying decision, check to see what Nothing Fancy has said about it. Although I sometimes will, just for grins, because we're just fundamentally different that way. Let's see here. Apostle P doesn't agree with ball bearing pivots, says Brock Whittle. Yeah, look, ball bearings have their difficulties. They've got their problems. They are definitely more diva-like. I think I've got a whole video about this, but in some ways I sympathize with him. A really nice set of washers like the Shirogorov Hati. It's really impressive and it's more durable. There's a lot of benefit to doing that approach. But at the end of the day, I really am a big fan of an action that's, this mechanically excellent. And you're not going to get that on washes. It's just a simple fact. And so I'm very happy to overlook the fact that ball bearings are a little bit more fiddly. They can be done very well, and it sounds like the Advocate wasn't done well. But, he and I disagree in that way. Let's see here. Nick, what kind of guy were you in high school? I was... Well, I still am a giant kind of nerd. Let's be real here. I wasn't in any of the particular cliques necessarily. I sort of ran on my own, but I did hang out with other nerds, absolutely 100%. And, so yeah, I wasn't your football player, no way. And, but, I was what I was. Let's see here. You're an indoor office gadget guy. What do you think of fidget spinners? Oh, where's my fidget spinner? It's around here someplace. Here it is. I own exactly one. They're nice. They're fun. I don't know that I'm going to spend a whole lot more money about it. I don't see the need for $300 for this. The other thing is, being a guy with smaller hands, a lot of these fidget spinners have very long arms, and so they clip on this little portion of my finger, my hand here. And so there's a bit of a danger there. Not a question, just a note. I've been watching since you had 1,000 subscribers. They bring me joy. Terry Dog, thank you. That's a nice thing to hear. Very often, it's really easy to have the haters overwhelm everything else. It's a little bit ugly, and so it's always nice to hear from people who are actually fans and who, get something from my videos. People are welcome to disagree, and there were many of my commenters who disagree with me regularly, who I value greatly, who are really adding another perspective to the comment section. I don't need everyone to agree with me, but the haters get old, and so it's nice to get a little bit of positive reinforcement on occasion. Do I plan on doing a review on a Cold Steel 4MAX, says Ken Johnson. It's a really great question. I'd love to get a hold of one. If a viewer wanted to send me one along, I'd really like to check that out. Because as much crap as I give Cold Steel on a regular basis for being a little bit on the ugly side for the knife community, they do make some very strong knives. They do make some very interesting designs, and the 4MAX is really something stepping out of Cold Steel's comfort zone. They're trying to make a mid-tech effectively, and I'd love to see what they do on their high end. More as a curiosity than anything. The design itself doesn't appeal to me in any particular way, but the 4MAX could be curious and could be interesting, and so I'd love to check one out one of these days. So that's a great question. Who hates Nick? That is Unicorn. Oh, Nick gets a lot of hate. You have no idea. There were some videos that I've got that just have a constant stream of just every day I open it up and some new person's hating on me. The quartz versus mechanical watch video was the biggie, actually. A lot of people love mechanical watches and hate anybody who doesn't think that they're the best solution to watches. And, that's a little sad to me, a little frustrating in a lot of ways. So there you go. Let's see here. Hi, Nick. Hey, Jim Ramsey. Nice to see ya. Good to see you here. It's nice to see some names floating by that I recognize from the comments. Let's see here. If I tried any Great Eastern cutlery knives, are there any patterns I like, Jim asks. So I'm not a big traditional guy. I believe that Great Eastern makes the Northwoods knives, and I've tried some of their stuff, and a buddy of mine is a big traditional guy, and, so I've seen some of his work, some of the stuff he's bought. But like I said, I hate nail nicks, and so traditional knives don't tend to appeal to me particularly. Even like Swiss Army Victorinox just doesn't do it for me. As much as I'd love it to. So I kind of go with knives that have a vaguely traditional feel, but are more modern, like the M390, M390, some micarta here. This is the Gareth Bull Miura. I owe you guys a review on this one. Great knife, waiting to get off the honeymoon for it. But so I tend to prefer knives that have a more modern flavor, but some traditional callbacks. So yeah, there you go. Can I switch to landscape? That's a really great question. I feel like a terrible human being recording this in a vertical orientation. But the simple fact is that the software that I'm using doesn't allow me to do landscape videos. And so that's ugly, and that's unfortunate. I really wish, I deeply wish that I could be doing this in landscape, because that would make a lot more sense. So that's life. Brian Freeman says, blasphemy, RE Swiss Army knives. Look, let's see here. Around here someplace, I do actually have a Swiss Army knife. The thing is, I just don't like it. I just don't like carrying it. Every time I think about putting this into my pocket, I think to myself, you know what? No, I'm going to put something that I can open happily. So there you go. But that's a great, that one's for sale on the Patreon for whatever it's worth. What would my dream Spyderco flipper compression lock design look like? Christopher Liao? Sorry, I just butchered that. So Spyderco just announced, Sal Glesser just casually dropped on the Spyderco forums that they're working on that. That's a beautiful idea. Honestly, Brad Southard's been doing some great stuff. Brad Southard's a great knife designer. And so I'd love to see his work with this. A Spyderco Southard with a compression lock flipping mechanism would be just incredible. But, I don't even know. Eric Glesser is a designer that I have a great deal of respect for. He and Sal and Eric Glesser, by the way, Sal is the father, Eric's the son, but they collaborated on the Para 2, the Para 3. I believe the Spyderco Mannix was an Eric Glesser design, and maybe the Native as well. He is an incredible designer. He's very intelligent. He's got a great sense of sort of the details. And so I'm really happy to hear that he's working on these, because the end result, even if I don't love all aspects of it, is probably going to be something impressive. They don't tend to screw things up. And so I'm willing to sit back and let him, see what happens. But I can't wait to go to Blade and see what's in the prototype case too, for that matter. Although I can't talk about it in all likelihood. Let's see. Would I sell the top blue knife? You talking about the Norseman here? No. I had a guy offer me, I think jokingly, at $2,000 for the Norseman the other day. And at some level, I'm stupid not to take that kind of money. But at another level, I like the knife a lot, and it's going to be tough to get another one. And frankly, I could do it down the road. But as a reviewer, it's good to have around. It's a high watermark for me. So that's nice. Let's see here. What am I missing? See anything that caught my eye in the Spyderco 2017 catalog? Trying to think. Did I do a video review talking about the 2017 catalog? No, I don't know that I did. Maybe I did. Well, either way, the Spyderco Wharncliffe Delica is pretty appealing to me. I'm very curious about that. Obviously, the Para 3 caught my eye, and you're going to be hearing all about it tomorrow, right about 8 a.m. Eastern. I just actually, before I fired this up, I started I finished the review on that guy. So there you go. That's going to be there. Would I sell the top green knife? As a matter of fact, yes, I have another copy. You're more than welcome to have it. That's going to be $400. But it's a Z-Hunter. It's a genuine Nick Shabazz Z-Hunter. But great question there. Let's see. Crispiano Liao, I'm really glad to hear. He says, I've saved hundreds of dollars listening to you and your advice. That's the kind of feedback I like to hear, honestly, because, look, the reason I'm doing this is I've often joked that my channel's slogan should be Nick Shabazz, taking baths so you don't have to. And that's ugly for me, because I lose a lot of money doing this damn channel. It's kind of sad. I do okay. I'm not hurting myself. I'm not the poorhouse or nothing, but so a lot of what I'm trying to do here is to try things out so that you all don't have to, and, make clear when there are problems. And in some cases, I'll say something's a problem that you guys disagree about, like, for instance, on the Spyderco Para 3 here, the deep carry clip. Oh, the shallow carry. This sticks this far out of your pocket. If you don't know that, this knife could be a problem. If you don't care, great, excellent. So there you go. Pardon me. This knife here, I believe, is the CKF SSE. I just got this in. These bottom two are actually on loan from my buddy Nico, who's working on that. So there you go. It's a nice knife. These anodizations are really nicely done there. Taking lumps for the team. Yep, sure thing there, Brian. Let's see here. Feel like the Benchmade 940 is my dream knife, but you're making me not want one. Mike Rogers. That's a really good point there, Mike. The 940 is a very nice knife, and if you can go to a Benchmade store, that someplace that sells a bunch of them, and go through and find one that has no vertical blade play, no horizontal blade play, and a nice smooth action, you should get one. It's not going to be the greatest value in the world. Very few things that Benchmade makes these days are. But it's a very nice knife, and the 942 or the 940 1501, which is the one that Knife Center sells, they're exclusive. That's got like M390 and G10. They do some great work, and so the 940 is a great knife, 100%. It's sad that Benchmade isn't making them better than they have been, but it is still a spectacular knife. Caitlin, I'm glad to hear that your brother Justin loves me. I love him too in the platonic sort of sense between a reviewer and a viewer. But there you go. See you later, Brock Williams. Mike Hunt, bend over. Cute. Made me read those out loud. Well done there, brain ache. Let's see here. Hi, Justin. No question. Love what you're doing. Thank you very much there, Al. Appreciate it much. I should do more YouTube collaborations. I've considered that. The Birdshot IV and I have been talking about doing something, maybe even like a podcast or something along those lines. That'd be nice. Because I like them both as humans. That's helpful. Dr. Frunke, I talk with him some on the Instagram and whatnot. I got no problem. I just don't know him that well, and unfortunately, we live in very different parts of the country, so collaborations can be very hard in that way. But Kevin Cleary's another person I've done a little collaborating with. I'd love to work more with Tony Scullambrini of Everyday Commentary. He's a great guy. There you go. I'm an aquarist. Hey, Kyle Thaman. Up to my shoulders in salt water. What kind of watch would take that abuse and not will it? Whoa there, sorry about that. I think I might have just moved the screen around. What kind of watch? Look, there were a bunch of watches that are made for diving. The Rolex Submariner, the Omega Seamaster, Tudor, Pelagos. Basically, any dive watch is going to be just fine in salt water for long periods of time. Wash the watch off at the end of the day, but you're going to wash your hands anyways, because aquariums are dirty places, because fish are dirty creatures. I've kept fish. Freshwater, though. But nonetheless, but you're going to be fine with any sort of a dive watch. That they're not really as vulnerable. The kinds of steel that they use are very stainless. But that's a really great question. Let's see here. I'd freaking love a podcast from you guys, Riley West. Hey, I'd freaking love to do one for you. Big questions, where to post it, things like that. Wife giggled when I said bend over. She loves you too. Oh, well, I love your wife too. That's awkward in the way, the platonic sense of the viewer and the reviewer. Yes, as a lefty, Benchmade is loved because their knives are ambidextrous. That is one of the best things that the Axis lock's got going for it, is that it is pretty ambidextrous. A lot of the knives I love are not. Backlocks actually have the advantage of being fully ambi, in that, it doesn't matter. You can put the clip to either side, and the backlock works just fine. But by and large, a lot of the knives I love are not, and that is ugly and unfortunate. As the Birdshot IV folks say, sorry, lefties. Hey, Kevin. Hey, good to see you in here. It was fun doing the collab. We should do more of that. Nick, how many knives are in your drawer? Yesterday, I posted a collection update. Everything on the top section is in the drawer. Everything not in the top is not. Nick, did you already do the giveaway? Who won? No, I haven't done it yet. I'm doing that Sunday. It'll close probably Sunday morning, sometime along those lines on the 15th. I'll post a video then. If you haven't seen that yet, that's the 10,000 subscriber video. The giveaway's in the description there. So fish, knives, and decent taste and rap. I just keep getting better. Keep on keeping on. Well, thank you very much. I'm delighted to hear that my taste for Corridorus catfish and Kanye and knives is winning me something in the world. Let's see here. Do I treat my blades with anything like Ezox? That's Rust protectant. I will occasionally use, I believe that's a rust protectant. I will occasionally use frog lube as a rust protectant. I've also been trying some knife oils lately. And so that's a wonderful thing. If nothing else, it can make the blade appear a little bit nicer. It can make it look prettier. But I don't do a whole lot of rust protection. I'm living in Michigan, it's humid, but it's not that humid. So it's not a big issue. Favorite home speakers? Oh, God, that's a whole other story, says Magnet Tosser. Oh, high-end audio is something I'd love to get the channel into, but I'm reluctant to get the channel into because it's a road to great suffering. Deeply, deeply great suffering because, look, knives are expensive. Speakers are stupid expensive. You can get really nice speakers for like $500. I like Bowers and Wilkins. There's a lot of the brand name going on there. Vienna Acoustics has good work, but thing is that the curve of diminishing returns is just brutal there. Because your very basic home speakers are a huge jump up. Then you go up a little higher, a little higher, a little. But the thing is, you buy like an $8,000 pair of speakers, and they just don't sound that much better than a $2,000 set of speakers. But people chase after it. So that's something I'd love to get into, but not. Let's see. Do I have a small or large Sebenza? Well, I don't own one, but I got a large Sebenza sitting here on my table from my buddy Jim waiting for review. So that'll get there one of these days. Hey, Spade Knife Works. Good to see you there. So Spade Knife Works is actually the guy who did the blasting on my Miura here, as well as put an edge on it. I put edges on things, but I wanted to see one of his edges because he does good work and, just to compare notes, basically, how to get everything right. So good to see you there, Spade. He's on the Instagram. Like I said, does good work. Moving along there. B&W, yep, good stuff. Large and single review, absolutely, it's coming. I just got about 1 billion knives, and one of the beautiful things about my buddy Jim is that he doesn't really care how quickly I get things back to him, so he'll send me a bunch of gear, and I'll hold on to it for a few months, and get it back to him whenever. So that's nice. Let's see here. What else? Frog lube is for frog gilfs. Gilfs, that's a term I haven't heard in a while. I am not going to define it on camera. But, frog lube is actually, I like it a fair amount because it's, so this is just a contact lens case, but the paste or the liquid are very nice because they're not anus. They don't smell terrible. You can put it on a knife and still, be okay with your life in general, as opposed to like Tough Glide, which is mineral spirits ugly and what else? So that's nice. Cables. Oh, nasty renegade. Don't do speakers. You get into a cable discussion. Seriously ugly. Yeah, I would have hit squads sent out at me if I start talking about cables. Look, I do acoustics and signal processing for a living. I know how to measure these things. Cables are not that important. Bad cables are a bad thing, but there are people who will pay thousands of dollars for these fancy cables claiming things, this was made from deoxidized copper by Tibetan freaking monks. They'll make silly claims like this, and because people think that they sound better, they'll pay stupid amounts of money for them, and that's... Honestly, a lot of that is a con game, at least in my personal opinion, and double-blind tests tend to show that to be the case. And so, that would lose me. I'd gain a lot of hate. I'm almost scared now that I've put that on the YouTube, when something, I don't know if these get archived or put up live later on, but still, eesh. Is Frog Lube made from frogs? No, I don't think so. I sure hope not. I believe it's made from wintergreen oil or something along those lines. But yeah, there you go. Take on the SOG Trident. Never tried it, actually. I've never tried any knives from SOG. My father carried a SOG tool for many years, but I haven't worked with any of their stuff lately. I'd like to check it out someday. You still wearing the Grand Seiko, Danny asks. No, I had to send that one back to my buddy Jim, and honestly, it was a bit big for me. I like the watch very, very much. It's an incredible piece, and I'm on the lookout for Seiko to drop a smaller spring drive with loom. But for the moment, I'm quite happy with the Omega here and some of the other things. The spinner fiddly thing here is it's a spinny fiddly thing there. Jace. It's a little hand spinner, 3D printed. Fun enough. Just wanted to see what the spinner craze was all about. They can be nice. Not a problem. Sub to me if I do type 16. I don't know what that even is, so sorry. Let's see. What's your take on the EDC spinners? Just talked about that. Caleb. See you later, Caleb. See you, Peppa. SOG Zoom is the best SOG, asked Kevin Cleary. Okay, hey, Kevin Cleary. Is that the best SOG? Don't bother with SOG unless you get an old one. I guess not, says Kevin Cleary. Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard. A lot of people have given up on SOG. Disappointing. I have to get some water here. Benchmade 940. Nice knife. Good new electronica lately. Yeah. I've been kind of under a rock lately on music just because I'm so damn busy, but Holocenic by Conja One is a great album. It's clubbier, maybe less electronica, but that's been good, and Deadmau5 has been impressing me with some of this stuff. Some of it's a little club generic, but like The Veld by Deadmau5, holy crap, they turned the Ray Bradbury story into a song. How can I not love that? So, yeah, those have been joyful to me. Aside from that, I haven't had all that much time to find new stuff. I am a fan of the fact that electronica is permeating a lot more of modern music. Like Kiara the Gold, that's apparently a popular song now, and it's very electronica to me. So I like it. Get a talk bar, thank you later. If I had $300 to spend on spinny things, I'd get a talk bar. Absolutely. Night Nick, must be an old married man. Jay Simons, I am not all that much farther behind you. I tend to pass out around 11 or so, yeah, it's life. Brad, let's see here, Movie Knife, Alonzo and Trading Day, Spidey's. I don't remember, I don't spend that much time thinking about knives in movies. I mean, it's weird. If I see one, it's like, oh yeah, it's but there are not many things talking about that. So there you go. What else here? Is We brand? No. Okay, so John Akshar asks, is We the brand that said they were American-made but made in China? No, you're thinking of Quartermaster. The interesting thing, though, is that based on a... based on an Instagram post, We Knives actually posted the same mill setup as one of Quartermaster's Instagram posts. Like it was the exact same machine. And so that's led a lot of people to conclude that the people who make We Knives were making Quartermaster or still are. So that's the connection there. But We is a Chinese company. 100% absolutely. And they don't pretend otherwise. But there is some pretty good evidence that they're making knives for other people. Blue or black Spyderco Rhodey. I like the blue, but I tend to like blue knives. These are not mine, but the tie lock here is blue as well. So there you go. Plan to check out the Alamic Gambit. Yeah, one of these days I'd like to. I'm actually on the, I'm going to be getting an Alamic Swish. It's their brand new model, and the Eugene over at Alamic actually really impressed me recently. In that we've been talking about, hey, he said, hey, Nick, you want to swish? I said, yeah, I want to swish. I asked him, hey, what's up? I haven't seen anything about that. And he said, well, we've got some production issues. A lot of people would have shipped them, but we're holding off. And that impressed me. That's costing him a great deal of money, but he wants it perfect. And so I feel very good about calling Alamic a good company lately. They've been impressing me. Let's see here. Am I going to review a Wii knife anytime soon? Yeah, I've got a Wii 605 that I've reviewed, which is a nice enough knife. The thing is, I'm not going to do much more in the way of Wii until they get better screws. Right now, they're using stupid star-shaped screws that are just terrible, and I'm not going to support that. Honestly, it's the same reason I don't do a lot of Microtech. That's a singularly ugly choice that they've made. And so once they fix that, I'd love to look at more of their stuff, but for now, I have trouble taking them seriously. Let's see here. Bunch of the big online retailers have a handful of new Alamics in stock. Yeah, I heard about that, actually. The Alamic Wayfarers, they got some new things going on there. What part of New York am I from? I'm not from New York, although my dad was. He was on Long Island, but no, I'm not from New York. I grew up in the Midwest there. Hey, Magnet Tassa, glad you're enjoying the stream. Favorite knife steel? That's really tough. Let's see here. So I'm a big fan of S35VN. It's one of the best all-arounders. M4, like in this PM2 here. Oh, I'm sorry. This is my Para 3. This PM2 here is M4 steel, and that's spectacular. M390 or 204P, like in this little guy here. Also great. So it's probably one of those three, M390, 204P, or S35. It's tough to say, really. What Razel I held up earlier, this was a John Graham Razel GMT with a customized backspacer. There are other Razels out there in the world. Actually, I have two of them on my table right now. This is a critic Razel, which is interesting, and now the stupid lock system. And then this right here is a John Graham custom Razel, which is a very nice knife, but probably not going to stick around too long for me. Let's see, of the higher class Chinese knives, what's the best to get into really high fit and finish? Kaiser's doing better on their higher end. Rayot really's been impressing me, and Reich as well. Both very good companies. The CH brand knives, I've actually got Budshot IV sent me one of their knives here. It's nice. There's a lot of good fit and finish here. I haven't taken it apart yet, so I don't know that much about it, but I would really advise that you go to one of the better known companies with a distribution presence in the States, so you don't get a knife that's kind of a dice roll. So yeah, there you go. Get an Alamik if it was a free dropper. Yeah, that's a little disappointing, but they're using strong detents, so that's okay. Oh, the green Razel with the hex wrench. That's not actually a Razel. That is, come here. Where the heck did that go? This is a little San Renmu. This little guy. Let's see here. This is a great model name right here. We have ourselves a 7046 LTX LPR-T3. ZT, you've got new competition in the model naming game. But anyways, it's a little San Renmu. It was gifted to me by a viewer. Whoa there. And now I'm throwing knives. But anyways, so that's what we're doing with that. It's an interesting little knife. Again, why the KME system? By the way, guys, if I don't catch a question, that's because I got 50,000 questions scrolling up my screen here. I'm just grabbing and talking until my vocal folds die off here. But KME I like because it's a dry system, because it's using the diamonds, and it's just a little easier to just pick up and sharpen with. So yeah. San Renmu makes good knives for the price, to be honest. Yeah, they do. There's good value there. You get no warranty. I wouldn't spend more than $10-20 on a San Renmu, but you get something that's knifey, by and large. Like the 7010, the Sebenza ripoff. Is if I had to buy, 100 knives for whatever reason to give to people, that's probably the way I'd go. They're not great. Let's see here. If I had time to handle a Cheburkov, no, I haven't yet. I'd like to. Is it 7 Ready on the YouTube? Treddy's got a pretty good video showing a bunch of the Cheburkovs off. Haven't yet. I'd love to think that they're getting to the fit and finish level of Shiros, but not there yet. Goody the J asks, what's with the hype on S30, the hate on S30V lately? It used to be all hype. That's a really great question, and something I've been thinking about lately. Look, S30V is a great steel. It's not a steel I love sharpening. I'd prefer not to have S30V. I'd rather, if I could snap my fingers and every knife in S30V became S35VN, I would do it in a heartbeat. But the thing is, it's still a great steel. It's getting to be, though, on the bottom end of your high-end steels. S30V's got some disadvantages relative to some of your other high-end stuff, and so if you're buying a $500 knife, it's getting to be less and less acceptable for S30V to be the steel. This is just a sign of progress, in the same way that, 154CM used to be, oh my god, high-end. Suddenly, and now it's toward the low end of the mid-range. And so we're getting better and better standards. Things like your M4, your Maximeter, really pushing the boundaries. And so S30V is a great steel, and it's more than anybody really needs. It's good to go, but it's just not cutting the mustard as much anymore lately. TrueWear never handled. Is amplitude modulation decorrelation for convolutive blind source separation really an issue? I gotta be honest, I haven't done a lot of convolutive blind source separation, but amplitude modulation can be, it can be problematic depending on what you're trying to do. You're testing me, see if I'm an acoustician. Oh, absolutely. So you gotta watch your rectification in those sorts of situations. That's a lot of Asian right there. Anyways, moving along. If you're actually a signal processing guy, I'd be happy to talk with you separately, but this probably isn't the place to talk a whole bunch about that sort of thing. S30V is hard to sharpen, but it's my first love, and it has a special place in my heart and so many cuts on my fingers. That's absolutely it. A lot of people are going to have a soft spot for S30V because it was there first, and it's also such a pain in the neck to sharpen. I agree with you completely. You can do it, but it's an issue. Simon's only Hedy Lamano's for sure. Not sure what that's about. Let's see. What knives am I currently hunting for? More than anything, I'm waiting for knives. I'm going to get a chance to handle a Moose Blade Zero. Looks really pretty. I'm kind of curious about that. Waiting for the Grimsmo Rask, which I will certainly be reviewing soon. John Grimsmo's saying like 4 or 5 months, something like that. Be great. God, what else am I hunting for? I'd love to put hands on a custom neon, but the thing is, I'm realizing that I'm not a big fan of custom knives. They're really doing something fundamentally different than what I'm after. They're doing art first, and so, a lot of people hunt for custom X, Y, and Z, but I'm not that interested in custom X, Y, and Z. I'd rather have production. If I gave you your right arm and your left foot, would you give me that Z Hunter? No, I don't want your arms and your feet. You can get one cheap enough on Amazon, no problem. Steel with great corrosion and easy to sharpen. I assume you mean corrosion resistance. Let's see here. There are great graphs out there that show relative corrosion resistance. The LC200N is actually pretty great. That's what the Spidey Chef came on. There's not that much in that. I'll say H1 steel is also very easy to sharpen. It doesn't hold an edge that well, but it's nice in that way. And even 154 CM is pretty decent. Let's see here. Are those cheap watch tools for adjusting bands good to go? So you get things like this, or like, hold on just a second. This is another approach for cheap watch band adjustments, where you've got something like this, and then you slide the bracelet into the middle here. I should do a video about this one of these days. And then you use this little screw to pop the little pin out of the link. And they work well. I mean, they do fine. And this is something you can accomplish with a thin little bar and a hammer. It's not that difficult to do. You just want to make sure that this little pin isn't going to break off the moment you first use it. So there you go. But yeah, watch adjustment tools, by and large, you can go fairly inexpensive. But if you like opening the watch up, then you want the real thing. View on the Lansky system, it's inexpensive, and it works. No complaints there. I would say that you probably want something a little more precise. If you're using a $300 knife, it's silly to try and play with a $40 sharpening system. There's no reason not to go a little bit higher end if you're going higher end with your knives. But that's, the other thing to remember with any of these things is, at some level, if you pay, $700 for a Wicked Edge or something like that, imagine if you just sent, for, $10 each, your knives off to a really high-end professional sharpener for the next 10 years. You're going to pay for that very, very quick. I mean, you're going to save a lot of money, and you'll get very, very good results. So I'm always a little bit reluctant to tell people to sharpen their knives. I enjoy it. It's something that brings me joy. But, if you just need a knife and want it sharp, at some level, pay a professional. There are great people out there who do it. Let's see here. What else? Thoughts on the upcoming GTC and Kershaw collaboration. So this is a ZT GTC thing. I'm curious to see what it's going to look like. GTC makes a lot of interesting knives, a lot of which aren't really to my taste, but I'd love to see something coming out from it. They make weird stuff. Would you recommend using a strop at night to keep an edge on S30V, S35? Yeah, absolutely. Strops are great. I absolutely have a strop. I absolutely use it. And it really does do a good job of maintaining your edge. It's a good way to go longer between sharpenings, and that's a beautiful thing. See you later, Jim. God, this has been an hour already. Holy crap, I'm a machine. Hey, Javier or Xavier, not sure how it's going there. But would you carry a Tenacious Sprint and M4? The Tenacious, why would I carry a Tenacious when there's such a thing as a PM2 or a Para 3 or something along those lines? They're great knives, but they're not that great. So that's a little frustrating to me. Let's see. Is Blade Show worth it? Looks like a shit show for me. I honestly don't know. I'm about to go, so I'll let you know afterwards. But, should be interesting. I'd like to handle a bunch of stuff, so there you go. CTS XHP. There is no steel. Lately, there is no steel I can turn into a laser in the stones. I don't know what you're saying there. Cletus, Ritus, Ritus. It's a great steel, XHP, in a lot of ways. I'm not as in love with it as some other steels, but it works fine. Thoughts on the Endura? I've never actually handled an Endura, and that's weird to me. I talk about the Delica all the damn time, but the Endura just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't do it for me. It's just too big. It's not something I would carry. I'd love to check one out one of these days, and in fact, I got one coming. I may be fake. We'll see about that, but regardless, I'll let you know about the Endura down the road. Think we'll see a D2 Rat 2 this year? We better freaking see a D2 Rat 2 this year. Come on, Ontario, you got no reason not to do that. They need to get on that in the worst of ways. Preferred sharpening method, like I said, I use a KME system lately. Any chance we'll see anything on the Boca Ray 2? No, probably not. I mean, if something comes my way, sure. Boca is one of those companies where I feel like it's very hit and miss. They make some great stuff. They make some pretty awful stuff. So I'm not super in love with a lot of what they're making. So I don't go out of my way very often to review their work. That's probably not necessarily fair to them, but it's just kind of I don't know. I'm not super in love with what they're doing lately. Is Spyderco overpriced VG10? There's a big question about whether VG10 is okay in a $70, $80 knife. I'm okay with it. It doesn't bug me. It's a fine steel. But, especially like the Ouroboros at $170, yeah, it's overpriced. VG10's a nice steel and all, but not that nice. Thoughts on the Kershaw Skyline? My thought is that I've got one right here, and I'm going to be reviewing it soon. So that's my thought. They're really variable in the tent, though. This one was pretty good. So that's nice. Let's see here. What else? Sorry, I'm getting. Am I getting no updates from SHOT Show? I'm not going to the SHOT Show this year. I am definitely not at SHOT Show. I think SHOT Show's going on at the moment. I am mostly here interested in. I'm interested to see what they come out with in the knife world, but that's very much a gun show primarily. I'd much rather go to Blade. Let's see. Wouldn't touch the name Boca with a 10-foot pole 7 years ago. Yeah, it seems pretty reasonable, I'll be honest with you. Boca is not the, they're an interesting brand. Let's just leave it at that here. Let's see. Most expensive knife I've ever handled. Let's see. I just had a $1,300 Resenti on the table. $1,500 Marfione Sigil. This guy's $1,150. It's a Graham Razel custom. What else have I done with? Mossmans are going for like $1,300, which is stupid these days. But no, I mean, probably in that $1,315 range. Honestly, I don't want to go any more expensive than that. The higher end, it's just past my cost carry comfort curve, that kind of thing. If I had $100 to spend on a watch, what would I buy? Probably, if I wanted digital, I got a great G-Shock review. If I wanted analog, the Casio Duro is a pretty good choice. There's a stabbing up at my mall when I was there with my friend a few days ago, James. I'm sorry to hear that. That's terrible. Violence is just awful. Absolutely awful. There's too damn much of it these days in the world. And so, yeah, I always feel awkward as a knife reviewer because a lot of people look at that as a violent thing. They look at knives as tools of violence, and I don't find them that way. I mean, sure, they can be used for that, but that's an ugly use. They're meant to be tools. Collaboration with Frankie Bird and you, besides funny comments on each other's channels. Yeah, Nasty Renegade. We actually were in talks about maybe trying to do like a podcast or something. I think that'd be pretty interesting. But, we may find something else to do. Knife I would trust to defend my life. Honestly, if my life needs defending, a knife is not what's going to need to do that. It's a bad choice. Knife fighting is a terrible, nasty, ugly business. The winner of a knife fight dies at the hospital than on the street. And so I don't even think about it in that way. Sure, any knife can be used to stab people, the Z-Hunter, just as well as anything else. But that's not the way you want to go through your life. The thing that's going to save your life in a situation like that is your brain rather than your knife. Stay the heck out of the dark alley at 2 a.m. It's that damn simple. Or if you know that you're going someplace dangerous, bring backup. Call the freaking cops. Hire a bodyguard. Or bring a better tool than a knife for a situation like that. But knives are not meant to save lives in that way. Any of these tools, at least any of my tools, putting the Z-Hunter aside here, I think are trustworthy. Meaning I can count on them to cut when I need them to, but that's not the way I think about it. So it's a little rant there. Para 3 to PM2 blade swap possible? No. Actually, I maybe go in the other direction. Probably not, though, because the lock bar geometry is going to be subtly different. You could do it a try, but yeah. So there you go. Guess I didn't keep the Spyderco Civilian. No, I don't have a Civilian. I'd love to pick one up for review. Do a review where I completely miss the point of it. Use it to cut open envelopes and bread and things like that. But no, I have zero interest in the Civilian. Will I ever do how-to videos on advanced modifications? No, probably not. I'm not good enough at it. Let's be real here. Everything I'm doing modification-wise is simply it's a hack. I'm an amateur, 100%, and so I don't feel like I should be teaching something I barely know how to do myself. I'm surprised the K2 worked out as well as it did. So, something real. Spyderco Civilian, pure nastiness. Yeah, that's an ugly knife. And I mean that not in the sense of it is an ugly design. It's got its own kind of pretty, but just the idea of a knife that's designed to eviscerate is, I don't know. I'm not a violent person. I've seen some shit. I've dealt with some shit, but I don't like it. And so to walk into the world carrying, especially if you don't know that there's an active threat, walking into the world carrying something that is designed to separate somebody from their intestines, that's just so ugly to me, and I don't know why somebody who lives a life that doesn't need that. Like, if you're in the FBI and you're a underground informant, then okay, sure, I get it. But somebody who doesn't need that kind of thing, why would you even fantasize? That's so terribly ugly. But anyways, that's beside the point. Sorry, that's a little rant there. I kind of hope that this doesn't go, well, yeah, sure, it'll probably go archived on YouTube. Do I fall asleep with my knives like you? My knives actually, by and large, live in a bedside table. It's just where I happen to have the drawer. Let's see here. Smock SK23, good choice. Yeah, great choice. They're going to be, I hope he goes thinner on mine, but it's a great knife, 100%. If I could only rotate between 3 knives for EDC, what would they be? At this point, the 3 knives that I would have for EDC would probably be, I'm not sure whether it's going to be the Para 3 or the Delica, and, pardon me, the Dragonfly's in the other room. But it could well be these. Sleesh buoy on the top, the Delica probably for the middle, maybe the Para 3, and the Dragonfly on the small end. I work in Detroit. Unfortunately, I need to have a gun. I'm so sorry that you live in a life where that's something you really need to be thinking about as an active emergent threat. Detroit's a nice enough city, but it's got some serious issues right now. I hope your life changes in such a way that you don't have to worry about that. Frankly, I hope the city changes. Like so that's not as much of an issue. Total shame. Talk about brand loyalty, says Goody the J, presumably talking about my Spyderco thing. That it just occurred to me now that, yeah, that's a little bit impressive. I'd like all 3 of those knives. It's not the case that I only like the Spydercos, but they tend to make knives that talk well to me. So be it, I guess. But that is a good point. Favorite piece of gear lost or destroyed in an adventure? Well, I lost my Dragonfly ZDP 189 in South Africa. when I was down there, or I think it was actually stolen out of my pocket, but hey, whatever. So that was an adventure of sorts, and so I lost some gear there. But yeah. Gavin, we're just doing an Ask the Nick live, and I'm probably not going to last much longer, guys. I've been talking solid for about an hour and 8 minutes now. So if you got questions, put them in here. What's the name of the spinner I have? I have no freaking clue. This is just a 3D printed spinner that I bought used off of a guy on Reddit. That's the extent of my knowledge. Do I have collaborations coming up? No, not really. I may be working with a company who's doing some machining. Just like a consultant, but it's not so much a collaboration. I'm not that I'm not a designer. I am to chefs. I am to knife makers what food critics are to chefs. I can't freaking cook. At the end of the day, it's just I don't know enough about the creative process and the machining process to be able to be a good knife maker. I don't pretend that I could do this better. As much crap as I give Z Hunter or Medford, I couldn't make any of those knives if I wanted to. And so I have respect for people who can do it, even if I can't. So I don't view myself as a knife maker and wait. And I think it's a little weird when reviewers go into knife maker mode. Sure, it'd be fun to try, but fundamentally that's not my role. So, yeah. There we go. Let's see. Toast undead, bourbon or scotch? None of the above. I don't drink. Just too much family history there. Not going there. But I'm sure they're both good and in their own special little way. Though I have any interest in a fixed blade knife? Well, I own one at the moment. Well, actually, I own a couple, but this guy right here is a Spyderco Gale Bradley. What the heck? This is the Bradley Bowie. It's a great fixed blade knife, and I'm gonna be reviewing it one of these days when I get around to it. And actually, here I've got a Mora Razel sort of style blade that I want to review. Not bad for $8, right? But no, I'm not a big fixed blade guy. They don't make sense in my everyday carry. So there you go. Got the Rat 1 and the Rat 2 in the mail. How long to break in? A week or two of everyday use. Give it a clean out there. Happy Friday. Good to see you, Magnet Tosser. Can I put my face to the voice? Just curious. If you watch Ask the Nick number 3, I talk about my true face, and you have seen my face already. Opinions on the Quaken. I've got a full review of the Boca Quaken up. Nice enough knife. Never really appealed to me so much. What do I think about INFI steel? Don't know anything about it. Hey there, Ryan. Sorry, that's not actually one I've heard of, which is weird to me. But hey, maybe you'll find out something about it these days. What does my ideal knife look like? Relatively small, under 3 inches. Interesting locking mechanism. Honestly, so the Greemsman brothers keep talking about doing a 3-inch integral knife flipper. That's really appealing to me. I'm going to be honest here. And so if he makes that, I'm going to be really happy about it. But there you go. Closest you can get to a Norseman action in the $400 range. For me, at least, the ZT452 is very, very close. It's not, the action isn't as smooth as the Norseman, but it's still pretty damn good. So that's really something to consider. The, what is it? The Ontario Carter Prime, the one that looks like an angry alligator, looks pretty good. And it's got a really nice action. It's not a Norseman by any stretch, but it's still pretty decent. It's pretty cheap. Fidget toy, like I said, I don't know the name of it. I got it used off a guy on Reddit, but there were about 1 billion people selling about 1 billion versions of these. It's just a little bearing here. I want to play with more of these, perhaps, one of these days. Used to watch Nothing and Jim. Your taste is much closer to mine. Greg, that's one of the biggest reasons I'm doing this, is when I got into the game, there were no reviewers out there who really matched my particular taste in the world. Nothing Fancy's very outdoorsy. Jim Skelton's really looking at, the high-end custom stuff, and as a very, he's got an aesthetic, shall we say. And so, for me, part of the reason I'm doing this is that there was nobody out there who really had my views on the world. How much for your Norseman? Corey Daniel, $1.2 million I will accept as an offer for the Norseman. Maybe 1.1, and you're going to be paying the PayPal fees. Let's see, Fireside Relaxation Music a Choice. Yeah, that's going to be, what the heck's the name of that album? It's by Slow Dancing Society. It's in my favorite music playlist, which is a thing, by the way, on the YouTube. The Sound of Lights When Dim is the album. It's very ambient. It's very relaxing. Wonderful, wonderful thing. Gonzo knives, I've got some. They're okay. They're kind of a dice roll kind of brand. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. A lot of what they make are not clones, but they're stolen designs. I don't plan to spend a whole lot of time of my life in Gonzo, but, I might check a couple out here and there. 1.1 million Zimbabwean dollars? No. Nice try. We're talking US dollars, hard freaking currency, bank wire. Let's see here. What's the base price on a Rask? I think it's like $600, something like that. Let's see here. Nice try on the Zimbabwean dollars, by the way. Not even Canadian. Well, 1.2 million Canadian, 750 grand. Yeah, I'd do it. Sure, why not? Opinion on Cutlery Lover. I don't watch his channel, but I got no real problem with the guy. I like that he does lower end knives as well. That's a nice thing. Love high quality production knives that you can use hard. Yeah, that's nice. I agree with you there, Greg. Production really is a way to go. There's a lot better. Knife under the Norseman here. This is an ADV Butcher, mini Butcher. Right here. I'm going to be doing a review of this guy. This is on loan from my buddy Francisco. Along with this guy, which is a Ferrum Forge Gavco Mid-Tech. So there you go. Opinion on Cliff Stamp. I got no opinion on Cliff Stamp. Fine guy. He's done a lot for the blade world, but I've never handled any of his work or anything. Ludwin Ayala, love your videos. Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate that very much. Oh my God, Canadian to USD makes me sad. Yeah, I'm so sorry there, Tall Hobbit. We went over to Canada over the winter here. Checked out Niagara Falls, and oh boy, that was kind of brutal. What's my current backlog of knives? Look, the thing is, right now, I'm often not accepting new reviews, new loaners, that is. Just on the table right now, I have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17 load of knives that I need to get to, and I got a whole drawer over here of knives that I need to review that I own, but need to get to review, and plus a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's comical. I've got an embarrassment of riches in terms of that. So, yeah. Hey, you're welcome there, Eric. Glad you enjoyed it. Did I see Cody Utzler's new blade? No, I haven't been following his work lately. I'm hoping he's doing better, though. Got a couple of buddies who are looking at some of his stuff, and, hopefully they have much better experiences. What's the knife on the right? 3 knives down. 1, 2, 3. This guy here? Is that the right side? Yeah, no, this is the right side. This is the Spyderco PM2 in M4 steel. There you go. Have I handled the Walter Wells? No, I haven't. My impression with Walter Wells is that he makes customized blades that are relatively inexpensive and that aren't, custom in the sense of really high-end fit and finish. I think he's doing a great service for the community, but it's not something I've really wanted to go out of my way for, just because I'm a fit and finish snob. And so, I'm not his target market. So there you go. 1,000 Swedish crowns and a full-grown moose. I could have sworn Sweden was on the euro. Maybe I'm screwing that up. And I have no use for a moose, I'm sorry to say. But, I'm sure mooses are nice. Do I carry a multi-tool? Yeah, it's a Victorinox, Leatherman Wave. I gotta stop, guys. My brain's going out here. Answering questions for a solid hour is hardcore. But anyways, yeah, Leatherman Wave right here is what I'll carry very often. Okay, DHgate seems to have some pretty magical clones. DHgate is not it's not a place I send people. A lot of what they're selling are counterfeit knives. You're very likely to get scammed on that. You can get good knives from like Gonzos and things like that, but I really recommend against people going that route. They regularly contact me and try and get me to represent them on the channel, but I just don't like the fact that half the time they're selling fake knives. And so I don't really give them a lot of love. Yeah. See you later, Toast Undead. Live in Australia. The conversion rate for Aussies, that's awful. 100%. I gotta buddies in Australia, and I feel for you, especially when I hear like knife prices, like, oh, Spyderco is going for like $350. Like, oh my God, that's terrible. I feel for it. You're welcome there, Cletus. Actually, things are calming down here, so I'm going to go on ahead and shut the stream off here. I hope this was interesting for you. I don't know if this is going to be archived on YouTube. This is legit the first time I have ever tried doing this, but if it's popular and enjoyable, I might do this again. So, anyways, I hope this has been interesting for all of you, and have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Bye now.